Are you holding on to stuff that you should have gotten rid of years ago? I'm not only talking about the old can opener that doesn't quite work, but that you still toss back into the drawer every time. I'm talking about ideas, habits, all kinds of clutter. These things are like weights that accumulate now in your 40s and 50s, the things that you're still hauling around that you picked up 10, 20 years ago, the old rules, the old fears, the old ways of living your life. And maybe now you've started to notice some of this weight. So today I want to bring these into the spotlight so you see them clearly, you identify them clearly, and then you can decide for yourself that it's time to let go of some of these for good. This is episode 110 of Organizing for Beautiful Living. I'm professional organizer Z Simon. This is the podcast for working women who are done organizing everything and they're ready to be choosy about what matters, what's enough, and what can wait. Now, the list that I've got for you today of 11 things that I think you should consider letting go of, it covers a lot of ground. And some of these are about actual physical stuff in your house. Some are about habits and patterns that you've been carrying for a long time. Some are about how you show up with other people at work and in your own head. You don't need to work on all 11. In fact, I'd actually encourage you to just listen first and then decide which ones make sense for you. One or two will probably feel more important than the rest to address right now. Well, that's your starting point, okay? The whole choosy organizer idea is that you get to decide what fits your life right now and what doesn't, okay? And that applies to everything we're talking about today. Be choosy. Don't get overwhelmed. All right, here we go. Number one, let go of the clutter in your home and in your mind. We start here because this is the most concrete thing on the list. Physical clutter and mental clutter, they run on the same system. The symptoms of clutter in your home and in your mind include a home that's hard to manage, and then it keeps demanding your attention even when you're not in it, even when you're not actively thinking about it. There's research that shows that women in cluttered homes felt stress throughout the day, not just in the moments that they were staring at the mess, but across the whole day. I was in someone's home last week and she was about to open a can of tomatoes. So she pulled out her can opener and then she was struggling to get it done. It would skip spots, it would pop off the can. And so after a bit, she dug back into the drawer and she pulled out another one. And this one worked just fine. No problems, no struggling. And then she took both can openers and she put them back into her drawer. Now, I don't know, maybe the first one has some sentimental value, or she just isn't making a decision about it. And so she struggles each time that she has to open a can. Things like this happen all the time. And it goes beyond the physical things. It could be a growing feeling you have that you have to do certain things like research a new doctor or look at insurance rates as your child is getting their driver's license. And that's on top of your daily mental volume. What's for breakfast? What's for dinner? Do those pants even still fit me? Every item like that, whether it's a can opener or a thought to look into something, is an open loop in your head, something that your brain has to track, and it's waiting for you to decide what to do with it. And then when you have a lot of those open loops, a lot of stuff that you're managing by habit rather than by choice, it all adds up. So at this stage of your life, it's really worth asking yourself, what in this house am I maintaining that I don't actually love or need right now? What am I holding on to out of habit or out of the what if thinking? So you can start by filtering out some micro things. Like when you pull out the can opener that doesn't work well, make a decision about it. If you're keeping it because it's sentimental, maybe it doesn't need to be in the front of the drawer. And then filter out some of the mental noise by either delegating or deleting some stuff or simplifying it. The what's for dinner question is one that has lots of solutions. So spend a couple of minutes on Friday afternoon, make a quick plan for the coming week. So quick actions can really help you let go of clutter, both the physical stuff and the mental stuff. All right. Number two, Let go of terrible or no boundaries with negative people. Look, by this point in your life, you probably know exactly which relationships leave you feeling depleted every single time. And you've likely been managing those relationships really carefully for years and sometimes for decades. Letting go here doesn't mean dramatic cutoffs or a big confrontation. It just means that you're deciding consciously how much of yourself you keep offering to people in situations that are consistently negative. Energy is finite, right? And the older you get, the more clearly you can see that how you spend it actually matters to you. The relationships that fill you back up, well, they deserve more of your time and energy. The ones that drain it consistently deserve less. So think of the meetings, the particular relationships, the situations and environments where negativity is having an effect on you. Then create some limits. I mean, if you can leave the situation permanently, and if you want that, then great. Don't let it linger. But if you can't leave, then set boundaries. Create clear guidelines to how you participate. Maybe you limit your meeting time to being right on time, not early. And then you make it clear that you have a hard stop time and you stick to it and leave. Or change the environment you're in when you're in a gathering, or connect less often with that person. Communicate differently with them, or let them know how you feel if you can. Sometimes creating a little breathing room for yourself is enough to allow you to really think clearly about what you actually want and need from these people. So if you're able, take a break and then come back and think about the changes that you can make. Number 3, let go of commitments that drain your energy. So your calendar fills up with one yes at a time. And most of those yeses made sense when you said them. But over time, your calendar can become like a museum of who you used to be, full of things that you committed to at a particular time in your life that no longer fit who you are and what you're doing now. At this stage, I think the question shifts from, is this commitment worthy, to, does this particular commitment still fit the person I actually am right now? Okay, so pull up your calendar for the next month and look for the one thing on it that you're already dreading. That's your first candidate for editing out. Okay, can you let go of that commitment? Sometimes, though, it's a commitment that you don't dread, but that's just maybe becoming too involved. It's requiring too much of your bandwidth. So you don't want to give it up, but can you change your level of involvement? Instead of being the team mom for your kids' high school sports team, maybe you could be only the meal ordering mom, and someone else or a few others can take on the scheduling, event planning, communications, all that stuff. So you're still part of the planning group, but it doesn't have to take up as much time and energy. Your time gets to be chosen too, okay? Not just your stuff. Number 4, let go of emotional dependency. So the habit we have of looking for external validation to feel steady. This can be from a partner or a parent, your friends, social media. This need for validation, it tends to solidify more and more as time goes on. But at this point in your life, it is worth noticing where you're still looking outside yourself to feel okay about the decisions that you're making and the life you're living. And I'm not saying that this is easy to see. A lot of us built this habit early on and it worked in some ways. But right now, building your own internal steadiness is a real investment in yourself and your ability to trust your own judgment and your own choices. So make it normal for you to ask yourself, whose approval are you still waiting for that you actually don't need? And for some women, it's interesting. It's their children's emotional reactions that are the ones that they're in the habit of using as a feedback board. And if those reactions aren't 100% in agreement, these women feel unsure of what they're planning to do. So this is an ongoing exercise in learning to trust your educated judgment or simply your gut feelings. And sure, use trusted people in your life as sounding boards, but not as your emotional crutches. Okay? You need to let that go. Number 5, let go of the need for full parental control. So, speaking of your children, for those of you with teenagers or young adults, the fears you have for your child, they're real. You want better for your kids than you had for yourself. You see the world ahead of them. You have information and experience that they don't have yet. And the impulse to manage every variable, that makes complete sense. But what I've seen both in working with families and in my own home is that control at this stage tends to have a big cost to the relationship more than it protects your kid. What works better is being clear about your values, saying what you expect, and then trusting them to start navigating their own lives while you're still close enough to catch them if they need you, right? It sounds simple, and logically, you know that's what you want. But the thing to do now is to really think about your actions recently and see how much of your advice and guidance to your kids was based in fears that you can't really control. And also in your daily interaction with your kids, how much control are you still trying to wield? And is it what you really want to be doing right now, given that your kids will be leaving your home soon? The goal is a strong relationship that lasts their whole life. You're building that now through how much you trust them. So letting go of full parental control is a necessity. Number 6, let go of being financially unknowledgeable. A lot of women arrive in their 40s and 50s having outsourced their financial decisions to a partner or an advisor or simply to habit without really understanding their own picture. And I say this with complete compassion because life gets busy and there are a lot of reasons why this happens. But specifically right now, you are entering a stage of life where major financial decisions are coming. Retirement planning. You might have aging parents, potentially supporting your kids through college or into their early adult years. If you don't understand your own picture, you can't advocate for yourself in those decisions. And you deserve to advocate for yourself. So letting go of that avoiding the financial stuff, it doesn't mean becoming a financial expert. It should mean deciding to learn, deciding to know. So start learning. Let go of not taking some detailed interest in your finances. In other words, take interest in your finances. Practically speaking, think of one move that you can make right now to build your knowledge here. Is it a conversation with your spouse or your financial advisor? Or is it looking through your most recent account statements to get a snapshot of what's been happening over the past year or so? Number 7, let go of old dreams that don't fit anymore. Some of the goals that you're still hanging on to were set by a version of you who had different information, different circumstances, and a completely different life. Holding on to them out of loyalty or out of guilt that you haven't achieved them is not honoring that younger self. It's just a weight that you keep holding. The thing is, the goal you're holding on to might not even be something you still want. It might be just the familiar dream that you had back in your 20s. It might be something you said out loud enough times that it's become part of your identity, even if it doesn't fit who you are anymore. I met a lovely woman named Jacqueline about 2 months ago, and she was right at this point. In her 30s, she dreamt of being an academic, of teaching at a university. She had wanted to get her PhD, and then she started a family. She kept that dream, though, and she talked about it enough that her friends and her family kept encouraging her to go back to school to get that PhD. And until this year, she thought that's what she wanted too. But now in her 40s, she's realizing that her goal has actually evolved. She doesn't feel the pull to go get her PhD or be in a university setting anymore. Instead, she's putting her efforts towards writing a book, which she's been doing for the past few years. The goals and dreams that she thought she wanted were for a different person. She's changed, and her dream has too. So letting go of an old dream creates room to ask, what do I actually want now? That's not giving up. That's being a choosy organizer about your own life. Number 8, let go of the timeline you set when you were 25. Most of us are carrying a mental checklist of where we were supposed to be by now, right? Your career, your body, your finances, your relationships. It was a whole plan that you made, and you were a 25-year-old who didn't know what you didn't know. That checklist was never a real map for your life. It was a guess It was made with limited information from a very different place and time. The life that you've actually lived is much more interesting and more complicated than anything a 25-year-old could have mapped out. And guess what? She couldn't have imagined a lot of the good things in your life right now either. Letting go of that original benchmark is not defeat, it's organizing your expectations around the life that you're actually living. Number 9, let go of perfectionism. At some point, perfectionism stops being a standard, and I think it starts to feel like a tax on yourself. The energy it costs to get everything right everywhere, at home, at work, as a parent, as a friend, that's an enormous amount of energy. The return on that investment, it just shrinks over time. Letting go of perfectionism is not letting go of quality. It's being choosy about what actually deserves your best effort and letting everything else be good enough. Your Wednesday night dinner, your grocery list, the birthday card you've run late on. Good enough is good. A lot of things in life run perfectly well on good enough. That's crazy, right? It's so cliche. But you know it's true because perfectionism can become a crutch too. Nothing is ever good enough. So it's not unreasonable that you haven't finished your book or completed that painting or having that tough conversation. So all you can do is become aware. That's where you start. Don't be the perfectionist in the room. Unless you're solving the space time conundrum, then you can be as perfect as you want, okay? Number 10, let go of closing your eyes to AI and technology. A research team at Harvard Business School looked at 18 studies involving more than 140,000 workers worldwide, and they found that women adopt AI tools at a rate of 25% lower than men. Women are still very much in the game, but there's a gap, and it's consistent across countries and industries, and it's widening some very important career and economic divides. And the most important finding in all of that research is that the biggest driver of that gap was not income. It wasn't education level or age. It was simply familiarity, interest. Women who know more about how these tools actually work close the gap quickly. A CNBC survey from March of this year found something that I think explains a lot of this. Half of women said that using AI at work feels like cheating. 43% of women felt that way too. So it's not really an ability gap, it's a permission gap. Women, like 43% of men, they're holding themselves to a certain standard. I hear from women all the time, I'm not really a tech person, or that's more of a work thing, or I'll figure it out eventually. And I understand that completely. I've said versions of that myself about different things. But AI is actively reshaping how work gets done, how information gets processed, and how decisions get made. And when women stay on the sidelines of that conversation, we lose our voice when these tools are being built and rolled out. So the systems that get built reflect the people who use them, right? Who push back on them, who ask the hard questions about how they're being used. Women belong in that conversation. So I'm not saying that you should become a tech expert, of course not. But the idea that AI is not for you, that it's someone else's thing, you've got to let that go. Just get a little familiar with what AI is, how it's being used all around you, and articulate what you're afraid of or excited about with the use of AI, okay? Be curious about those things and start conversations with people about it. Listen, learn, keep your eyes open. It's important. And number 11, let go of the belief that it's too late. The assumption that certain doors are already closed to you to start something new or to change direction or to learn something different or to begin again in some way, it's not true. I'm proof of that. I started a business in my 40s. And even today, I'm still evolving and changing that business. That it's too late whisper that you keep telling yourself, it's going to start making small decisions on your behalf if you're not careful until you will find yourself stagnant years later. So before you accept that something is off the table for you, ask yourself if that's really true or if it's a story that you've been telling yourself long enough that it starts to feel like a fact. Okay, some things really do have a season, and that's okay. But far fewer things are truly closed off than most of us believe at this stage. Far fewer. Jacqueline, who's writing her first book in her 40s, people are running marathons, their first marathons in their 60s, or going back to get another degree. I just don't think there's an end point to a person's life until its actual end, don't you think? And I have seen more women in their 50s starting brand new careers now more than ever. Women whose kids are grown, but they're not ready to traditionally retire. They want to do something of their own. You might call it finding their purpose. Right now is a time of great change. Your parents maybe are aging and will need your help. Your kids are growing up and will be starting their own journeys. And you're evolving too. So it's time to look forward, to start to dive into your purpose if you haven't already, and to think about your legacy. What do you want to carry with you as you do that? You probably don't want the wonky can opener or your jeans from when you were 30 years old, right? The choosy organizer idea is this: you decide what fits in your life right now and what doesn't. And the stuff that doesn't fit, well, they're all candidates for you to let go of. That's always been true for the stuff in your home. And today, I hope you're seeing that it's true for all 11 things on this list, too. Yes, the clutter in your home, but also in your mind. The terrible or no boundaries with negative people, the commitments that drain your energy, emotional dependency, the need for full parental control, being financially unknowledgeable, the old dreams that don't fit anymore, the timeline that you set for yourself when you were 25, perfectionism, closing your eyes to AI and technology, and the belief that it's too late. So start letting go of these things. You can go slow, but keep your eyes open. Just like in your closet, when you let go of the stuff that doesn't fit you anymore, you make room for the things that will fit you beautifully now. Hey, so go ahead and follow the podcast if you want to keep having these conversations. I would love to have your ideas and wisdom here. I hope you have a beautifully organized week. I'm Z, and I'll see you on the next episode.